So in some of my most recent videos, I talked about how the tech sector was selling off and how just because the market was having a market rotation into recovery stocks does not mean that it is not a good opportunity to buy into more tech stocks. In fact, it actually presents us with a better opportunity just as long as we wait for the bottom and see that bounce. Well, guess what? Last week was the beginning of the bounce once I made that video on Tesla. But in this video, we're going to cover 3 stocks that I see potential value to make a great profit on. We're also going to be talking about in the long term aspect, but we're mostly going to focus on the shorter term aspect. But again, some of these stocks are going to be plays that you could, add for a longer position. But let's go ahead and talk about it. So the first stock that we're going to be talking about is going to be ticker symbol SOP, Swedish-based company Spotify. Now we're going to be talking about why I see value in this in the short term position, but also why I see value in this in the long term position. Right now, I see Spotify as literally the audio version of Netflix. Right now, we all know that Netflix in the last decade has made a tremendous fortune for a lot of investors simply because of how innovative Netflix was. Now, we all know Netflix was, the murderer of Blockbuster, and also Netflix has been, the reason why a lot of people have been cutting cable. For example, I don't have cable. Maybe you have cable. I don't know, but pretty much the trend, if you look at the overall trend, is that people are cutting out cable and they're going to subscription-based services like Netflix, right? Now, going off that tangent and going back to Spotify is what we use to consume audio. Now, being that I do have a background in music production, one of the reasons why I see Spotify as a long-term play is simply because of how Spotify has really shaped and changed the music industry. Being that, I used to do music production. Back in the day, producers used to make a lot of money, producing the tracks for songs back when CDs were very popular and people would actually buy music. But guess what? During, my teenage years where, services like LimeWire and Frostbite were very prominent, the music industry suffered a lot simply just because a lot of people were pirating music. And for a while, almost a whole decade, the music industry was trying to find a solution and how to, still make money back from, the days where CDs were selling, right? But then, Spotify came and it was really the solution for everyone because as consumers, it works out just like how we use Netflix where, we pay this monthly subscription depending on whatever subscription you have, and you get to consume unlimited amounts of audio. That's why I get to have all my Drake albums on Spotify, so it's instead of buying the albums separately, right? But again, you pay monthly for it, so that's how Spotify generates a monthly service. So I definitely see Spotify as something for a long-term play, but let's go ahead and dive into why I see Spotify as a short-term play as well. So if we're looking from the short-term perspective, Spotify has already been bouncing off, a support area, and I do see that there is a resistance at around 300, so that's something to keep an eye out, especially if you're looking to make this as a short-term play. So anything from now to 300 will still be good, but also in the long-term play, just as something you want to hold for a long term, right? It's still anything before $300 is still a good play in my opinion. I think Spotify has a lot of room to go, especially how they are dominating in the music streaming industry. I know there's Apple Music, there's also Google and Amazon, but Spotify is pretty much the one with the largest subscription base of users, just like how Netflix is the largest for video streaming. Spotify is the equivalent for audio streaming. Now, the second stock that we're going to be talking about is going to be ticker symbol DOCU, which is DocuSign, which is a company that engages in electronic agreements. And to be honest, you probably have used their service in the past without even realizing it. For example, when I was signing the documents for me to purchase the condo that I now reside in, I used a lot of DocuSign's electronic services, right? Now, basically what they do is, again, like I said, they do digital agreements. So a lot of the signatures that you see for buying properties and real estate or any other type of, industry is using DocuSign technology. Now, this is something that I definitely think was, accelerated during the pandemic where a lot of people were, not working in their offices and paperwork still had to be signed. But also, I think this is something that is going to be in the future just more common. I think we're leaving this paper era and, obviously going to a more digital era. So again, I don't really have to stress much about why I see this as a, good long-term play. But let's go ahead and talk about this as a short-term trade. So from a short-term perspective, we see that DocuSign is bouncing off of support, which is great. It's still above the EMA line. Now, I do see that there is a resistance around the 220 area, so we definitely got to be cautious on that area. If you're doing this as a short-term play, you might want to lock in your profits around that area. Again, as a long-term play, this has a lot of room to grow in the future. I definitely believe in this technology, especially cloud-based services. I think that is the way to go for the future. But again, looking from purely definitely a short-term play. It might be a good opportunity to buy in around this 206 area and try to lock in profits at the 220 area. Now, the third stock that we're going to be talking about is going to be ticker symbol CRWD. Now, this is a company that engages in cybersecurity technologies. Now, this is something that I really don't think I have to emphasize why I think this might be a long-term play for your portfolio, simply just because with all the technology that is, becoming more readily available to us, of course, we're going to need more security, right? So I don't really want to dive too much into the long-term perspective because, as you guys know, being a long-term investor is something that I do engage in, but I'm also a trader, so that's why I have two separate accounts. So we're going to be focusing on the short-term plays for CRWD. So if we look at ticker symbol CRWD from the short-term perspective, we see that it is bouncing off the linear regression channel. Now on this channel, I talk a lot about trading off the linear regression channel, waiting for that bounce, waiting for that confirmation and entering. Now, something that I do want to point out is that there is going to be slight resistance around this area at 211. And let me go ahead and also just draw something out real quick just to kind of show you guys why I think there might be this resistance. We also see that, over here, it was a support, and so right over around here there might be a little bit of a resistance. So this might be a quick day trade or a very, very quick swing trade. But again, if we look at this from a bigger perspective, we see that the stock is still down 30% from its peak around $251. So if you're interested in holding this for a little bit longer, this is definitely still a good opportunity to snatch up some more shares of CRWD. Now, if you guys are broker curious and are wondering what platform or software you should use to buy these stocks or trade these plays, definitely consider checking out the second link in the description below. It's going to be a link to sign up for Webull, where if you sign up with that link and deposit $100 this month, you'll be eligible to receive 2 free stocks valued up to $1,600. Now, quick story, when I first signed up with Webull, I got a free share of Google that was valued at $1,200. Google now is worth $2,000, but besides the free stock that you do get from Webull, I do think that Webull is a great platform to trade. It has powerful tools, indicators, and everything that you basically need to make these plays, regardless if you're, a long-term investor or a short-term day trader or swing trader. Webull has that covered for you. So definitely check out that link in the description below. I use Webull for my swing trading account. And with that being said, also consider checking out the first link in the description below. It's going to be a link to join our free Facebook group. And basically, it's a group that I'm building of, individuals interested in trading and investing in the stock market. So definitely check out that link in the description below. And with that being said, guys, my name is Justin from Push and Profit, and I'll see you on the next video.